At these brothers, man, I need you to stop pretending you're not chosen. And when I say that, man, I know I'm only talking to a few brothers, man. But when I say you need to stop pretending that you're not chosen, you need to stop pretending like you don't have that relationship with Source that can put you in rooms that everybody can't fit in, that everybody can't cross that threshold, man. You need to stop acting like you don't have favor. You need to stop acting like you aren't chosen. And see, when I say chosen, I don't see it as, when I say chosen people, I don't see it as, oh, there are certain people that were chosen by God to do a certain thing and everybody else it can't. I'm not talking about that. When I say chosen, I believe being chosen is a choice. I'm saying when I say chosen, I'm saying at some point in your life, whether it was 3 years old, whether it was 33 years old, at some point in your life, you said, hey, you know what? I see what the world is doing. I see what the world is. And it was probably at a young age. You were probably like 5, 6, 7 years old. At some point in time, you said, I see what the world is doing. I see what it's about. I see what it consists of. I see how people move. I don't want to move like that. Like I want to connect my source. I want to connect myself with Source more than anything. And that became your priority. And once that became your priority throughout your life, man, you had certain hardships that you had to go through. You went through certain trials and tribulations that I'm not saying everybody didn't go through, but you went through it more than often, or yours were probably slightly harder than most people. And the reason is, man, is because your whole life has been a boot camp. You know what I'm saying? Your whole life was to fulfill that mission of your request of putting you closer to Source energy. So I'm saying, man, now that you've gone through the gauntlet, man, don't pretend like you don't know God now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like don't be Clark Kent, you know, scared to be Superman in public. Don't be scared to live the life you want to live because of what you know, because of who you walk with, man. You know, a lot of people that have that special relationship with Source will dumb themselves down to fit amongst common people. You've done all this internal work, man. Now you want to dumb yourself down like you don't have the ability to move mountains. I'm saying stop pretending you're not chosen, man. Stop pretending, bro. And live. And live, man. Like you don't have to accept the same fears as everybody else. You don't have to do it. Like when people are going in when people are tripping and pulling their hair out and stressing over what comes out of the tube, like you know that it's irrelevant to your truth. You know it is. We talk about who's in the White House. We trip on, you know, people getting taken out and people choosing sides, and he was racist, he wasn't racist. It's like, who cares? It's like we hover so high above that. It's like, man, that's irrelevant talk. That's this world trying to attach to our emotional energy and control us. But you know better. And all I'm saying is stop pretending, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, let the world know that you have that cape. Let the world know that you're about that life, that you will go above and beyond and do whatever is required to fulfill the mission of your vision, man. And don't be scared to do it. Don't be scared to jump. You know, last night in the I don't know if this was last night in the circle. Over the last few weeks, man, we just been talking about, I love my brothers in the circle, man. Like, I love them brothers. And when I say brothers, man, of course, they like my fraternity brothers, but it's deeper than that, man. You know, we've been talking about belief. We've been talking about faith and trust. We've been talking about, what it requires to jump. Should we incorporate a little fear? Should we leave it out? How do we, I love my brothers, man. And it's like, man, we just all have to move above the beat of the collective conscious, man. I'm not saying don't associate with them, but don't identify as normal. Don't even think like normal people. Like conduct yourself like you know that all mountains can be moved. Not saying you won't have challenges, not saying you won't have tribulations, not saying your money won't look funny sometime, not saying that you might not have some health issues sometime, not saying that you won't have some bad relationships and go through a divorce and your kids acting up at school. I'm not saying you won't go through all that stuff, man, but we have to go through those things with an understanding that all things work for the good. All things work towards the fulfilling of our vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to conduct ourselves like that, man. So all I'm saying, man, is stop pretending you're not chosen. And if I'm talking to you, you know it. If I'm talking to you, man, you're the person that you're addicted to the voice. You're addicted to the voice, man. Meaning on those sides, when you have those moments where you're driving home from work, or those moments where, you know, everybody's sleeping in the house and it's just you enjoy the silence. You enjoy the silence. You enjoy hearing the voice of God. You enjoy receiving your marching orders. You enjoy getting downloads of information that most people have no clue. You enjoy understanding how this world works. You enjoy alchemy. You know what I'm saying? How the void, how Wallace calls it, that thinking stuff can be manipulated. And when I say manipulated, I mean that in a positive way. You enjoy that. But you walk outside of your mind, man, and as you walk outside, you walk outside of your home, and as you walk outside of your home and you're amongst the world, you walk outside of your mind at the same time. And you start conducting yourself in 100% ego, as if you're not led by your Christ mind. You know what I'm saying? As if you can't function in this world but live from your heaven. Stop dumbing yourself down, man. There was a I just read it a second ago. It might have been the last video I made. There was a brother that commented on there, man. I think he was saying, he said, hey man, when I was 26, I'm gonna see if I can post it. I'll see if I can find it. I think he said something like, when I was 26 or some young age, hey, I was about to move to Thailand. Like everything had aligned, like the play was right there. And he said, I didn't. And then he said something like 20 years later, like now I'm 56 years old and I'm finally making that leap. I'm finally doing that thing. You know what I'm saying? And shouts out to that brother, man, for finding his freedom. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest, and appreciate giving that feedback and comment, brother. But to be honest, the thing that's in that brother now, the thing that separates him from the masses, that gives him the ability to move how he wants to move, it was in him in his 20s. It was in him. It was inside of him in his 20s. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, if you're in your 20s now, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, if you're in your 60s, don't wait to walk in your authority. Because some people may call it, they might name it a few things. They might say you're cocky. They might say you're overconfident. They might say you're all these things, but all it is, man, you walk with God. And I'll be honest, man, I'm saying this because for the longest, I subdued the God in me. I would sit in my room, sit in my home, man, and have one-on-one conversations with God all the time. You know what I'm saying? Hear the voice of God on how I should move, what I could achieve, what I could do, the power in me for years. And I would come out of that meditation. I would come out of that session, man, and say, okay, you know what? I know what I should do. I know how to move. But since I know I won't fit in the world, since I know people are going to say, what is he thinking about? Why is he trying to do that? Nobody does that. I knew people were going to say those things, man. And I lived in fear of that. It's kind of like when I said a video or two ago, I said, man, some people fear success. Like a lot of people fear failure. A lot of people fear getting laughed at and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people fear success. I feared winning in life. I feared trying. I feared trying things that had never been tried before, simply because I feared people saying things like, oh, he thinks he's Superman. Oh, he's starting a YouTube. He's trying to do this. He's trying to go to college. I feared that. But now I own it, man. Now I own it. And the reason I own it now, man, is because this is why I own it now. This is why I own it. I own it because when I let my light shine, it's not light shining on soul. It's light shining on the entity, on the source that powers soul. There at no point in time am I ever talking about something, hey brothers, look what I did, and speak about it as if only I can do it. If I'm talking about something on here, I'm speaking the things we can all do. Just like the content that I watch, if I'm watching some content and they're talking about leveling up and doing these things, if that brother isn't speaking from a place of why aren't you doing it too, I'm not listening. It's like a brother, man, and I know he meant no harm. On the video where I did the condo tour, he was like, perfect expect mistake, showing people the game or showing people the places nobody goes, and now you're going to ruin it. And I told him, my response was, man, I want for my brothers the same thing I want for myself. Anything that I'm put on the gram, anything I talk about, man, I want for my brothers the same I want for myself, man. Because to think any other way, man, is not living in an abundant mindset. You think it's limited condos in Asia? You think it's limited subscribers on YouTube? You think it's limited followers on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff? Where you aren't trying to share your blessings and your wealth and your game and your experience like it has a cap on it? See, that thing that I've tapped into, man. So I used to use the word abundance, man. I used to use the word abundance and thought I was standing in it, man. But when I really tapped into it, when I really tapped into that universal love, I understood what abundance was. It's limitless. It's like, don't even look for the finish line of abundance. Like when the money starts coming in, don't even look for the finish line. It could just run until you get tired of seeing it. When the level of health starts to come in, you can just get healthy until there's just no end, man. That's abundance. You know what I'm saying? And then when you start wanting those things, man, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this, man. I to be honest, I don't know what this video is about. I was just taking a break from working, man. I'm down there editing a video. It's rendering. I said, man, let me go up top, man, and just vent to my brothers. I want to say this, and I don't know what I'm gonna title it, man, because I'm gonna be all over the place. I noticed a lot of people, like in the last few videos, and I love the feedback. A lot of people are saying, hey, man, I understand what you're talking about when it comes to whether it's living abroad or whether it's just having a certain level of freedom to do certain things. But they keep talking about, they keep mentioning, well, hey, well, how do you find work? How do you find work? How do I leave my job? What do I do? And I'm not going to say the same thing I said on the video, because I kind of went into detail on how to do that. But I want to back up a second and go a different direction on how to do that, right? Because for the longest time, I didn't know how to do it, right? And what I did was, and this is when I kind of started getting aggravated for not knowing, right? Let me get this far. Forget these up here. This is what I did. This is when I started getting aggravated, brothers. I remember when I read Napoleon's work, Think and Grow Rich. I remember when I read Think and Grow Rich, and I fully understood it. And I'd been studying a lot of those guys. And I read Think and Grow Rich, and I said to myself, I understand what he's saying. I get the concept now. I said, but the thing is, I don't have the vehicle. I don't have the, when I say vehicle, I don't have the means. I don't have the work. I don't have the idea to utilize this knowledge. And I asked God, I said, God, if you just give me a vehicle, If you just give me a vehicle, which when I say vehicle now, I can easily say, if you can just give me some purpose, I can take this information, I can take this knowledge from all these people I've read and studied, and now I know what to do with it. At first, I was just getting inspired to say, one day, man, I want to be, but God, now I understand how this thing works. If you can just give me a vehicle, now I know what to do with it. You give me a vehicle, and I'm going to run with it, man. That's what I said. And I'm going to tell you what God showed me, man. It led me to the Bible, man, when the messenger, Jesus, when the messenger said, when he was asked, what are your two greatest commandments? Somebody asked him, what are the two greatest commandments? And he said, first, love God with all your heart. Second, love your brother like you love yourself. I'm going to tell you this. If any man on the planet understands those two verses, his life will never be the same. That is the recipe of all recipes. Because what the messenger was saying is, first, love God with all your heart. Love God and God only. You have to understand. When you get above worshiping the smaller entities, and I know a lot of people worship Jesus and worship Buddha and worship Muhammad, peace be upon him, and worship all these other high-powered people. Like these are our brothers. These guys aren't meant to be worshipped. So when you get above that and you love, it's even levels above that. When you get above that and then you get to the point where you're worshiping what a lot of people call God then, right? But you got to ask yourself this. If your God has a polar opposite, you're still not worshiping God. Which means if your God still has a devil that has just as much power and equal opportunity and all this kind of stuff, then what you're worshiping is not the all. It's not the highest level. So once I understood what the messenger was saying, love God with all your heart. There are no other gods. And I went to the very top where it was just a God that ruled all. There was only one God that was in control of both good and evil, light and dark. There were no opposites, just that. And I plugged into that. Something happened, brothers. Something happened. I began to see the world different. I began to see the world through the lens of love. Like when the Bible say God is love. I'm like, yeah, God is love. That sounds good. But now I understood that God is universal love. And I always say this, man, like the whole point of plugging into God and loving God with all your heart, the first commandment, is simply so you can see the world as God sees the world. You can see the world as God sees the world. Just like, so in other words, when you get to that point, you no longer have no enemies. You no longer hate mankind. That's why I just said, man, kind of like the Charlie Kirk guy that just passed away. And I'll be honest, I knew his face, but I didn't know nothing about his message. Not zero things. Not nothing, But when people are saying, oh, man, the guy was a saint. And then some people saying, oh, the guy was a racist. It's like, who cares? You're getting emotionally involved in that? That's what I'm saying. We're above that. So the first thing I learned was to see the world through the lens of God, right? Then the second commandment. Now I understand why it was second. Love your brother like you love yourself. Now that you see the world through the lens of God, and you can love your brother and sister like you love yourself, think about that combination. Think about what takes place when you have that combo. Now all you do is see the world as God sees it. And when you look at your brother and sister, all you're thinking about is making his or her life better. Problem solving. All you can think of now is problem solving. So I'm looking at my brothers and sisters, man, and it's like, man, I want to help my brothers and sisters. What do I know? What experience have I gone through that I can share with somebody to make their life better? That sounds so simple, but your freedom is right there. Your freedom is right there. It could have been something you learned on the job 10 years ago that very few people know. Y'all heard about the lady that, some years, it's old news now, but the lady that was the Excel guru at her job, and she just started helping people in the real world with Excel, got to the point she was making 6 figures a month by helping people with Excel. A lot of us have gone through traumas when we were young. A lot of us have had major wins, major losses, have had relationships do a certain thing. You have knowledge there now that your brothers and sisters are craving. But it goes back to what I'm saying. You're scared to put the cape on. The answers are already within you. Oh, so how do we do this? The answers are already inside of you. But you wanna cower down and act like everybody else and be like everybody else and dress like everybody else and talk like everybody else when you should be a one of one. You should be a one of one. Just as specific as your fingerprint is, you should be that unique, man. You should be that unique. There is no other soul. There is no other soul. Think about this. If I'm living in my truth, nobody can replicate me. Nobody can replicate me. And nobody can replicate you if you're walking in your truth. Your truth is your fingerprint. And you might say this thing that you know, this information that you may have, you might say to yourself, hey man, well, a lot of people already know how to do that. A lot of people already know this. Nobody knows how to do it like you do. There might be a message that people are saying, like the things that I say on the internet. You probably got 1 million other people on YouTube saying the same thing, but nobody sees the world from my perspective, just like I don't see the world from their perspective. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. And then I'm gonna tell you this. And this is where a lot of people sleep on themselves. Man. What a lot of people don't understand is, this is what a lot of people don't understand. The things that you call normal, or the things that you think about all the time, or the things that you talk to your partner about, or your homegirl about, or your wife about all the time, that's just normal to you, is normal to you, and you think everybody knows this. You think everybody just has this on their mind. No, it's just you. It's something you're passionate about. It is your way out. It's your exit strategy. So man, all I'm saying is, going back to that question, when people say, hey man, I want that level of freedom, but how do I get outside of these four walls of my job? Go inside and find this thing that I'm talking about. Go inside and find this thing that I'm talking about, and then stop pretending you're not chosen. Stop pretending that you haven't spent some late nights, man, trying to figure out how life was going to pan out, how the bills were going to get paid, how the lights were going to stay on, and God didn't speak to you and show you the way. You know what I'm saying? Or God didn't open up a door that you, like, stop acting like God hasn't opened up doors that weren't even there. Stop acting like that, man. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how we forget. It's crazy how we forget when we were in our 20s and our 30s and life was at a dead end, but now we are where we are. You know what I'm saying? Quit acting like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Quit forgetting that God is God. Quit pretending you're not chosen, man. So I'm gonna leave it at that, man. I'm sure my video is done rendering, man. And I hope y'all have a good day, man.